Welcome to the family with the ghost of Catherine Brandt.
Alex Bernard Rasmussen.
And Andy Brandt Bernard.
Does your mom know how to tell time?
It doesn't seem that way.
I don't know.
It doesn't really seem that she knows how to tell time, if you know what I'm saying. What do you think?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. They're out there. The kids are out there having fun. Yeah, we were just talking about the fact that I'm very serious about this. Andy, you know this as well. That
There she is.
uh-oh, here comes
There
Nana.
we are.
Nana's here.
Nana's here. It all works. He's a little wound up today. Very excited.
About me being here.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure that's exactly what it is. But in any case, no, we just started the show, so your timing's pretty good. No question about. Oh, now here comes.
Good, because I'm here now.
You what?
I'm here
Why'd you turn the light off?
because it glares in
That's
my
what she
eyes
does.
and gives me a
Oh, it does glare in your. Well, let me read this story while you're setting up. Okay. Do you deal with your fear of flying by downing 2 or 3 of those mini bottles and passing out? You might be risking more than a headache. What?
She said no.
No.
Me neither. What?
Seems a little intense.
Yeah.
You might be risking more than a headache. A study in Germany found falling asleep after drinking on a plane can kill you. Airplanes are pressurized, so it's like being 8,000 feet up with air pressure and oxygen levels at a lot lower level. And that affects our body in different ways. They studied the effects by having 48 adults sleep for 4 hours in a pressurized chamber, once with no alcohol and once after they had 2 drinks. In the lower air pressure, sleeping after drinking put a considerable strain on the heart, causing heart rates to rise and blood oxygen levels to plummet, sometimes below 85%. And all that combined could cause a medical episode. They think older people with heart conditions are at the highest risk, but it even strained the hearts of people who are relatively young and healthy. So how do you test to see if something will kill you without killing someone?
I don't think you really do.
Yeah. Well, it's never a really good idea to like get so drunk you pass out, right?
No.
Generally, no.
I mean, I'm no doctor, but I
But
would
in
think,
general,
but
what
I
you're
would think
saying-
that if you had like a glass or 2
Exactly.
of wine, you'd probably be okay. But if you're drinking to pass out during a flight, you're
The only time I've ever had more than like 1 drink on a flight is when you and I were
Uh-oh.
flying to Iceland.
Oh, there's a shock.
oh
And remember, they just kept on giving us stuff.
Drinks?
Yeah.
oh, was that
was like-
Iceland Air?
Yeah. On Iceland Air.
Yeah.
And they kept on giving us, like, oh, try this
Concoction.
local Icelandic liqueur. Try this. Da, 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 da. And we were like, yeah. And then we both stood up when we got there and we were like, we are drunk.
Well,
We are fully.
Well, that's weird because
like,
it must usually when you fly overseas, you fly at night, and so you wake when you get there. It's morning.
but it's Iceland really isn't that far of a flight.
No, it's like 5 hours, 4 or 5,
Yeah.
5 hours, I think,
I think
from
it was 5,
Minnesota. And it's
yeah.
direct, which is really nice.
Yeah. And so we were, I think I don't know if we like slept at, I don't know what it was, but I remember we got there and we both were like, okay.
Well, and
Yeah,
there's
we-
well, and isn't it true that when you are flying, something about the cabin pressure
Yes.
makes alcohol stronger?
Well,
or
the
something?
cabin pressure is slightly lower than normal air pressure.
Oh, okay.
so slightly lower.
somehow that
Yes.
makes you feel more drunk or something.
Well, yeah, there'd be less oxygen at lower
Yeah.
pressures.
That's true.
Someone's cable is like pulling and making a lot of
Jiggly. Yeah.
noise.
Mom, I think it's.
Is it my
It's Nana.
headphones?
Yeah.
Nana's
Something.
headphones,
Could be.
typical.
Yeah, they are acting funny. Like every time I move, they're clicking.
Just stay perfectly still.
Right,
There
I
you
won't
go.
move.
Why
When did they
why
start
is it
this?
doing that?
I don't know.
I don't really understand.
Technology's weird.
Because technology ages at an amazing pace.
This is true.
Okay, 2 things before we get going here. Alex, didn't you get the message this morning?
Nope, I got no message.
You're supposed to be wearing pastels today.
Oh, she is.
Oh, so it all worked out in the end. All 4 of us.
Well,
All
you're-
4 of us got it covered.
We're wearing
What is blue a pastel?
Light
pastel blue is.
There's jewel tone blues and pastel blues.
I'd say
Jewel
yours
tone.
are more. Your shirt's
can't
more
see
jewel
you.
tone.
Yeah, you're heading towards jewel tone there.
Yes.
Jewel tone.
Even
This
my
is-
purple
I was
is
gonna
a
say
little bit more jewel tone.
mom's more jewel tone.
Pastels are very light.
Yes.
colored.
Like this is pastel.
And the other thing I want to bring up is what a genius your father is, how
Oh,
brilliant I
okay.
am. There's no question, because
Okay.
I've
What
heard
I-
this before.
Yep.
during the morning show this morning, I left my phone at home
That's genius.
when I left, right?
Yes.
So here's the genius. I said to myself, I got to remember to call Catherine and tell her to bring my phone. I don't know how I was going to call you without a phone, but neither
that's
here
a
nor-
concept.
that's neither here nor
You
there.
could have had somebody else call me.
Oh, I suppose that, but
True.
you wouldn't answer it anyway because you wouldn't recognize the phone number.
I think I've got Tevin's number.
Oh, do you?
I thought I did. Maybe I don't.
All right, we have a special guest coming in a couple of minutes. He should be here in a few minutes. In any case,
Oh.
I haven't seen him in a long
Who?
time.
Really? Is it a
Jeff
surprise?
Gerbino. Jeff Gerbino's coming in. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be a good thing. He's not here yet, but he'll be here very, very soon. Looking forward to that. He's doing some appearances in town. What's the matter?
Mosquito bite.
I know. I've got 2 mosquito
Oh
bites.
God, the mosquitoes have been.
And I haven't even
Okay.
been
horrible this year.
outside hardly.
I got my hair done yesterday, and my hair stylist said that the brand Badger. Anybody?
Badger,
Yes.
no.
Yes.
Mom does.
Yes.
She said that their afterbite is magical.
Oh.
She's like, it's a big like chapstick tube, so it's kind of like a salve situation. And she's like, I'm telling you, it's incredible. And they do a lot of camping. She said she used it on a bee sting, and it was amazing. I'm like, I ordered it, so I'll report back.
Good.
Because this summer there have been. You'd think that we were in a jungle.
Oh, the mosquitoes have been horrible. I
the
heard.
back, the woods in the back of our house. You'd
Yep,
think
there
that
it's
it was a
horrible.
rainforest
Yep.
all of the time. Like when we walk through to go to the trail, they're everywhere. There's bouncing off of us.
That's what I understand. It's mosquitoes and gnats both. That's what I've
And
heard
ticks.
anyway. And ticks too.
All bugs.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
I've had 3
wonderful.
ticks on me this summer already, and all in very strange. Once I was in an indoor pool and I had a tick crawling on my arm. I was standing in the mulch at a playground, tick crawling up my leg.
Ugh, God.
I was woken up a couple
Whoops.
days ago with a tick crawling on my foot in my bed.
In your bed.
Oh boy, could you sleep after that?
Well, I woke up at it was like 7:00. I had a tick on my foot, and I was like,
See, I would have to.
Okay.
I would have to boil the sheets. And,
There's a tick.
I know. I told
on
my friend
foot.
Raina. She's
Here
like,
it
"Are
is.
you burning your bed?"
yeah,
I was
you're
like, I was
burning your
like,
house down.
I think I've just come to the realization that they're
You do live in tick world.
unavoidable this summer. And the 2 times I wasn't anywhere near my house.
I know, but you do have a lot of ticks in your area because you've got woods right by your house.
Yes, we live in the woods. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and you live out in the middle of nowhere. That is true.
Too true.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way. No question about it. It's so nice because your house, you walk out the back gate right onto the running path.
Yep, through the woods a little bit, and then
That's
you're on
wonderful.
the running path. It is great. We love it.
No, it is a terrific place to live. No question about it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Andy's got a perfect place for him. You got a perfect place for you. And now Nana is teeing up a perfect place for us. So it all works out in the end.
There you
I've always liked everywhere we've lived for various reasons.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about that. But what's so funny, Alex, is we were thinking about this. I think Andy's out getting Jeff Gerbino. I think that's where he went.
Oh, yeah. He
Yeah.
probably had to go to the elevator because it's a maze.
It is kind of a maze, no question about it. And now I forgot what the hell I was going to say, but it had something to do with family and how much I love my family. That's what it was.
There
Okay.
you go.
But I can't remember. But yeah, so the reason I didn't call you to bring my phone is because I didn't have the phone to call you.
That
But
makes
other than that,
perfect sense to me.
Well, we're going to be together until
doomsday.
Judy went to daycare.
Oh, you did take Judy to daycare. Was he excited?
He was very excited.
Oh, he loves daycare. He does. He loves that stuff.
Weird. I have to find a new daycare.
No question about it.
I think there's one up there.
I'm sure there is.
Oh yeah, there's no question. In
See
that
that?
area, absolutely.
My allergies are kicking my hiney.
Not really.
Mine
Yeah,
too.
I did it's National Running Day, FYI. If you
I
wanna-
don't run.
If you're a runner, go out and do a quick 5K.
You know,
That's what I did this morning.
Good for
My
you.
watch yesterday was like, tomorrow's National Running Day. Run at least 5 kilometers and get this badge. And I was like, okay. And so I went out and ran a 5K this morning.
Oh.
And that's where
Good for
I
you.
got my ankle mosquito bite.
I'll tell you, honest to God, Alex, and
You
I'm
need to
not
run
kidding.
Faster.
The fact that I walk between 7 and 8 miles every day is working miracles for my weight loss. It is unbelievable.
Walking is fabulous for you.
It's really
Absolutely.
good for you.
Walking
absolutely.
is
I've been
like the best thing you can do for yourself.
When we used to have the Jack Russell, Cassie the Jack Russell, he made me walk quite a ways, at
Yeah.
least 2 times a day. He'd prefer to walk 3 times a day.
Yeah,
Or
he
Judith?
loved walking.
He-
No.
No, I just said Cassie.
Jude will walk
Oh,
2
Cassie, okay.
blocks, and he's like, "I'm done."
Well, and Jude
It's enough.
used to, but now he's 11.
Yes.
He doesn't really care about walking very much anymore. He's
No.
like, I pooped, I'm good. Every once in a while, he'll be all excited to go for a walk, but most of the time, he doesn't really care about it anymore. I think his knees or his hips or something maybe bother
Yeah,
him.
maybe.
And so I remember after Cassie died, all of a sudden I was like, I've got 8 pounds. Where did this come from? 8 pounds. And I wasn't changing my diet. I wasn't doing it. I just wasn't walking with the dog.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And then when Jude, I used to walk him 6 miles, 7 miles a day for sure, just to take the edge off of his craziness. And now that he's not walking as far, all of a sudden I'm like, getting a little pudgy again.
Gotta walk.
Gotta walk.
Like this morning, I usually take the dogs on runs with me, but Dan was like, I have to leave by X time, and taking the dogs with me takes longer because they stop and poop, they stop and pee, they stop to sniff.
Right.
And so I was like, I just have to like go and be done.
Right.
And so I didn't bring them. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I will walk you later. I promise. I'm really sorry. I felt really bad because they were so excited to go for a run. And I was like,
How old
Yeah.
is Birch now?
12?
Wow. And he can
He's
still run?
12?
I ran him a mile yesterday to
That's
see if
good.
he would be stiff, and he wasn't at all. And so
Oh.
I was like, I think I could probably run him 2 miles and then see how that goes. He doesn't, everyone, like the transition from winter when we're not walking as much or as far
Right.
into spring where I walk them / run them pretty much every day. He at the beginning will be stiff, like he'll limp
Sure.
and stuff, but then I think he just builds up muscles, to
Sure.
support, because he does have a little bit of arthritis.
Hey.
and
Oh my God, it's
He's
been
here.
a year or two.
He's here.
7th level of hell.
Honest to God.
I got a million
putting him
years,
here?
man. How you doing?
I'll move the rice cake to
Yeah.
iPads.
I think he's going to set you up over here.
Over here.
Oh, yeah, where he is, where Andy is.
I was gonna say rice cake.
Pretty
You're
good.
set.
Hi, how are you?
We got grandkids here. I've been seeing them.
Yeah.
I've been doing a lot of hide and go seek. A lot of hide and go seek, baby.
Nothing wrong with that. No question about it.
There you go. If it's this, when these hiding spots, it's like I used to be able to tuck into there.
Not a, yeah,
Okay, you want him to sit over here or over there?
Okay, it's up there.
Oh, here.
All right.
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Okay.
Move over
Move
here.
over, please. He's going to need to get around you.
No, you guys, I don't think, have you ever met my
I-
wife, Catherine, Jeff
Yeah,
Gerbino?
how you
I
doing?
think we've met.
think you have.
maybe. Yeah, a long time ago.
Watch that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And our
Let's say
daughter,
yes.
Alex,
Hello.
and her 2 children, Andy, our son. So it's all a family
That's also
deal.
my grandson's, oldest grandson's name.
There you have
Is
it.
it? Nice.
Nothing wrong with
This
it. God,
off.
how many years has it been since I've
Let's
seen
get
you?
the
Oh, my
headphones
God,
on him.
30.
Oh,
Wait,
he's got some
I'll
headphones.
turn this
Yeah.
on. There you
Put
go.
your hand- There we go.
He's got some.
Oh, you got some already?
Oh, my God.
He's
Oh,
got-
got-
see which ones- oh my God.
Those ones are maybe
There
need
we
to be
go.
thrown away.
Might be
Those
time
are
to
Which
knock
ones?
those.
peeling off, the ones that Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fit over this?
They'll do that.
It's usually people don't recognize me without a hat anymore.
Well,
Let's
I
put it this
think
way,
it
when
might
I
do
when
it.
we were
Yes.
last together, no, that won't work.
Won't work.
We'll just put it on. Yeah, we're talking. Woo! I think
Better?
it was out at Hazeltine. Yeah, before the U.S. Opens, even
Yeah?
more. Yeah,
Going with that was humming that because Louis Anderson was there that day too, if I remember.
Louis. Yes.
Yeah, Louis
indeed.
brought us all there, didn't we?
Mhm.
Were
Think
we all
so,
there?
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I whisper about
Yep.
your ear about certain dirty secrets. I told you 2 things. I believe you released one of them on there about Tim Allen being a coke seller,
Oh
and being busted,
Yes, you
and
did.
being in a prison in Rochester.
All right.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
the other one was, by the way, do you know that Ellen is actually gay?
That's true. That's how long ago
The,
we're
the
talking.
civilian world found out about that law. The comedy world knew that one
Oh, did you?
a long,
I didn't
long time.
know she came out after I thought she had always.
I worked with her in the
Oh.
Bay Area, which was her
Oh.
adopted home from New Orleans, you know,
Okay.
and I said, if I could get the action you get every night, can you just give me a couple of castaways?
Well, she's an attractive woman.
Well, they were different ones every night. She was just like
Really?
a typical male single headliner on the road who's hot. And she had just won the San Francisco Laugh Off, you know?
Oh, okay.
And so she was super hot. And all these lesbians are slipping me sheets of paper because we're sharing a condo at that time. That was the last time she shared a condo with anybody,
Oh,
by the
Yeah,
way.
okay.
I bet.
And
Imagine.
every night was a different one. And I'm like, I am not going to be your pimp.
You're a wingman.
Well, it's
Honest
just
to
that way,
God.
man.
Okay, now we gotta do this. You're in town for what reason?
I'm here for the let's get it right, Loons on the Lake Comedy Festival, and
Loons
it's
on the
being
Lake.
held out at Crooners.
That's a
Supper
great
Club.
place.
Yeah, I understand they're going for the old school.
Yeah.
Make a reservation,
Yep.
pay a little more if you want to sit up front. Yeah.
My
It's,
brother Troy was a bartender there until he passed away, but yeah, he loved working there.
how long has that been open?
Oh God! Before it was Crooners, it was called something else. It's been open for a while now. But
Yeah.
Crooners been around. Well, it's got to be at least 10 years. God, it's probably more than that. I
Yeah.
can find that out. I bet Andy
Yeah.
will probably find that out.
Must have been just as I left town. I said, we're both in the wrong place, aren't we?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's probably. Which part of the wrong place are you from?
I'm North Tampa.
Oh, you're in Tampa. Okay.
Yeah, I'm North Tampa there. Or just what they call Pasco County there.
Oh
It's,
yeah.
It
Yeah.
looks like Crooners opened 2014 in November.
Oh, so it was
it'll
10
be
years
10
ago.
years and 5
years.
months.
All right. Yeah, that's just about time I left.
You know who else lives there? Is John Hines now lives in the same
Yeah.
area you do. Oh, you do know that.
Yeah, but I connected with him a little bit. Yeah. It's just stunning sometimes the people you find down there.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Somebody I
sure.
knew from comedy way back in the 70s, and it was Sue Halloran name, but she switched her name to O'Halloran, which is why I couldn't
Oh yeah.
locate
Okay.
her. She's quite the author and storyteller. I always like when they say storyteller because I go, so the stand-up didn't work out.
So you're not funny. That's what you're telling
So
me.
it's
That's
just
exactly
we
what
don't
it is.
we don't know. We put the commas and periods in a different place.
So no, you're doing is it kind of a contest thing? What?
Well, tonight I'll just be hosting that. I'll come on.
Okay.
I'll do an opening 15. You
All
know,
right.
and then I got to do neutral introductions for all the acts. It's 10 acts.
10 acts.
And they're at the
Jesus.
semifinal part here. And
All right.
now, it's not small change here. The winner gets 10 grand,
Whoa.
which is more than I'm making this week, by the way. And
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, you know, and it was like, woo. But yeah, and a guy named Randy Lubis is promoting it, which right off the bat, I went, Randy, you're from the South. What are you doing? I should be doing a festival up here, not you.
Right.
You know, but he's one of those guys who changed. He had a heart attack somewhere in the early
yeah.
2000s or something. Changed his whole life around, and he got real business-like about it. And he's got
Oh,
it.
good.
He's doing cruise ships and booking clubs, and he's like at a time in life where most people are slowing down, he's speeding up.
Well, I think that's a good thing too.
That's what I told him. I said, but I ain't gonna do what you're doing. I ain't gonna jump them barbed wire fences anymore.
Not happening.
I ain't got what you got, but I tell you what, I'm pretty comfortable. So I only do things that are back here or in like
Yeah.
Pennsylvania area. I'll do.
Oh, do you?
Philly, Bethlehem, Allentown area.
How is it doing comedy in Philly? Because they got it. If you've ever seen a sporting event in Philly, you know they've got an attitude.
Yeah, well, they're like English audiences. They participate.
Oh, they do.
And just
Okay.
don't say anything positive about New York.
Oh God, no.
They will
No.
go absolutely bonkers on it. I
Isn't
made
that
a mistake
amazing?
one night going, just beat you. But it's like, and that was it. I should have never said that. You know,
Oh God,
'cause
tell
they-
them to calm down.
you know, and I said, well, trouble was they had the voodoo on the Giants for so long
Oh yeah.
that but the Jets came along and beat them. So I'll take my New York victories where I can find them. So
No, I
I
understand
tried to
that.
rub that in, and then big mistake, big mistake.
Okay, I got to get this out of the way because it's just one of those situations where seeing you again after all these years just makes me miss people like Louis even more.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know, like I said, we were bosom buddies, you know, when it started,
Yeah.
you know, when,
Yep.
you know, he said it on the last podcast we did together. He said, we had gathered some of the originals that were still around. Scott was
Okay.
still alive.
Yeah.
And he said, remember these times, the young comics, he goes, because these are the ones you'll still grab onto
Yeah.
40 years from now. He goes,
Yeah.
look at us. We got tears in our eyes here, you know, about these
Yeah.
crazy days and Mickey Finn's and Dudley Riggs and doing all that crazy stuff.
You guys did such a job at Mickey Finn's. That was unbelievable. How did that come together?
Well, it started with a little comedy contest in like 77. A guy I'm having lunch with tomorrow, Steve Billings, had this little
Oh, yeah.
club.
Yeah.
And he had the idea of like, well, maybe we should do something here on the weekends because it was a union building, AFL-CIO.
Yep.
And University and Central, I think it was,
Yeah, right there,
14, somewhere in there.
Yep.
And they didn't have no crowd on Friday and Saturday. And so he said, how'd you like to come in here on Friday and Saturday? I'll give you $25 a week.
Oh, $25,
Hey,
baby.
I'd never been paid before. So I was still a proto comic at that point, you know, and I just done a couple
God.
of shows, one up at St. Cloud when my brother briefly, before he went back and became a New York cop, was going to school, was then St. Cloud State.
Oh, St. Cloud State. Yep.
And he went to the print shop, put posters all over the place. New York comic impressionist.
Ooh,
I was from New York. I certainly didn't do any comic impressions there,
but
you know, other than my high school principal. You know?
were you good at that?
Yeah, I was good at that.
Okay,
I finally, the guys in speech class got to read the notes out before the school day begins. And so you get your chance. So I went right into the principal's voice. Biggie. That was a
Nothing wrong with
biggie,
that,
man. That and Nelson
Nothing wrong with
Rockefeller was governor, you know.
Oh, Nelson. Oh, God. That's
Remember
been
how
around.
we used to talk in that gravelly voice? And you know, the thing I love about New York, you got air that you can see the air you're breathing. That's what I love about New York. You know?
Exactly
He was something
right.
that would never happen today. He was a Republican who was endorsed by the Liberal Party of New York. We had all four,
Yeah.
we had
What?
all
How did
four
he manage
parties in New York.
that?
Liberal, conservative, and Republican Democrat. And they would fight sometimes. They wouldn't support Nixon, and the Republican Party, was it Jacob Javits or somebody wouldn't?
No, yeah.
If he didn't get the Liberal nomination. And then the rest of the party went, if you take that nomination,
Oh, yeah.
we're out. So that's kind of, New York was very diverse politically, you know.
But the Rockefellers have enough money to maybe win
They might.
a few things here and
They,
there.
how many politicians they had? They had the governor of Arkansas
Yeah.
for a long time. They had a U.S. senator. They on both sides of the coin, Republican and Democrat.
God, Rockefellers.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! And what the Ford used him as a shill vice president.
Yeah.
And then when
Yep.
76 came around, he dumps him and picks up Bob Dole.
Oh,
I
Bob
forgot all
Dole.
about
I forgot
that.
about
And the only thing he said was, well, I guess they'll know on the 1776 200th anniversary, I was vice president. That's all I got going.
Very true. Last time I talked to him was a long, long time ago. He called into the show for some reason. I don't even remember what it was. But I said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our very special guest on the phone with us, Bob Dole.
Mhm.
Thomas, how are you? Great talking to you again. Great to be on KORS. It's like, oh, you did a lot of research before you came on,
Oh,
did
you
you?
really
didn't
dug
see
that
the
one
little
up, didn't
you
you?
didn't see the little tail on the
Add a
O.
little tail on the O
forgot
there,
that.
making it a Q. But other than that,
Well, that's for the intraweb, you know?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
But-
different time, man.
Yeah, but we both go back a long way in this town. Now, you were a native, but you also went out to New York several times.
Yeah, we lived,
Right?
Catherine and I lived in New York before Andy was born. So that was what, 39 years ago now?
It's got to have been.
God,
Yeah.
we love, you know, I should ask you this because you're from the area, because I've heard from a lot of people. I'd love to go back, even though the Carnegie Deli's closed, which pissed me off to no end.
Yes.
But they have a smaller version of it now, somebody told me.
Yeah, but it's not in the same location.
No, it's not.
They moved it. So a lot of, I don't know about those transplant things. Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
We lived at 20th Street and 2nd Avenue, just absolutely loved it. All these wonderful places to go. Great. Just, you could walk to these magnificent
Oh, yeah.
delis and all the rest of it. We just loved it. But then Catherine told me one day, said, we're going to have a baby. And I was like, a baby in New York City. I don't know if that's a good idea or
Oh
not.
man, that's
So we moved back here then.
yeah. Well, you were here in the beginnings of well, Imus was in full bloom at
Yeah.
that point. But
Yep.
Howard was just getting going.
Yeah, Howard was getting going on
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And he was an afternoon guy when we lived in New York. He wasn't doing
yeah.
mornings. He was doing afternoons.
Well, that's why I left New York, because I wanted to get into radio, and I remember they said you'll wind up working in some cornfield in Wisconsin. My first job, WEVR radio,
Well, there-
River Falls, Wisconsin, next to a cornfield.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that'll
God.
happen. But you made it to this market and did well. So that
Yeah.
was good.
I was the brief East Coast experiment on what was then called WCCO FM.
Oh God, yes.
Remember that? It was just they had to
WCCO FM.
distinguish it. That's all they did was call it FM to the AM, you know. And I always wondered how this non-Minnesotan get a job here. It was like, wow, you guys are awful parochial, you know.
Do you know who owns WCCO now?
Who?
George Soros.
Really?
George
Wow.
Soros bought the group apparently, or bought part of the group, I guess is a better way to put it.
Oh, did they? Well, they love to point him out. I'd like that. Of course, there's no billionaires on the other side of the coin there.
Yeah,
None whatsoever.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
I mean, come on, man. It's an interesting time. It used to be I could talk about stuff on stage. You could. Now it's like this is the only time in my life I haven't been able. I have to think about should I open with anything political or
Really?
should I not?
Are
Oh
they-
yeah,
are they
it's
just sick of
down
it, or
in
they just
Florida. It's
pissed
gotten
off?
terrible. Well, they're very.
Oh.
It's turned very red. That state. When I first got there, Obama won it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
12. And it was they had a Democratic senator at that point. But that's all changed now.
Yeah, we've been
you
there
know.
for 27 years off and on. Well, not
Yep.
off and on. We've part-time at the beginning, and now we live there.
Well, you're on the
Where-
East Coast, right?
Yeah, on West Palm Beach
Uh,
over
uh,
there.
I remember first time I worked at a club in Boca Raton,
Oh, Boca Raton, ladies and gentlemen.
where the debris meets the sea.
There's a lot of New Yorkers in that area. I will tell you. that.
Yes.
A lot
Are
of
there
people from
ever?
New
I
York.
did not hesitate to go into the New York stuff when I worked that crowd.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I thought everybody here knows what a bagel with cream cheese is all about.
Right.
Oh God.
It does.
Yeah,
No.
but you do find some places are good. They say New York pizza, but they don't mean it. And other places, you know what I mean? If you've been to
Yeah.
New York, you'll know. We have one that sponsors our softball league, and that's a good place. That's Pizza Villa in the Spring Hill area there. We got, but I
Oh,
got
yeah.
a lot of Italians and Puerto Ricans, the guys I play ball with. It's like going all the way back home for me.
Has
it's-
anybody
mhm.
taken a consensus of how many Italians are in Florida? It's got to be more than in it.
More than
telling
New
you.
York.
It's got to be at least 500,000. I'm
It's-
going there, maybe 1 million. Yeah.
It's absolutely
We'll have
everybody.
ties to it, yeah.
Everybody meets Italian down there,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
or
that's
Cuban,
true.
where we are. It's either
Let's
Cuban or
see
Italian,
here.
one or the other.
Yeah, and then of course the guys on my team, it's like because I play in 2 softball leagues and 1 baseball league. I still play baseball, and I just first time I played it had been since college since I played baseball. But there's something about
Oh,
a
sure.
2-0 count, and you go, he's throwing me one,
Yeah, that's right.
and that instinct kicked in, and I ripped a double, and I was back in love.
Nice.
know,
Isn't that great?
By
With it
raw
again.
population, Florida is number 5 in the country for Italians.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Only 5?
1.2 million.
Not surprising. And then
So-
when New York and New Jersey would be 1 and 2.
Yeah, New York, New Jersey.
Florida's just below New Jersey, actually.
Oh, is
only
it?
only
Huh.
slightly.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that would be there. All my cousins are from there.
Yeah, Pennsylvania, California, New Jersey, and Florida are all kind of tied. But then New York, of course, is
Just
Blows
for the record,
everybody
much
out.
higher.
ain't no New Jersey. It's Jersey.
Yeah, that's no New Jersey.
You going
it's
over to Jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah, going over Jersey.
You're from Jersey? Really? What exit?
What would you
Oh,
guess is the
Minnesota.
least Italian state by population?
Minnesota. North
not
Dakota.
even close.
North Dakota.
Well, no, you got
North
North Dakota.
Dakota is
Oh, yeah, North Dakota.
Gotta
Yeah.
be Dakota.
Yeah,
Can you
free-
imagine an Italian in North Dakota?
There's
Olive
9,000
oil,
of
oil
them.
freezes up at that temperature.
There's 9,000 people, Italians from North Dakota. It's the least
Really?
by population and by percentage.
Well, I came here in the 70s, and that's when they were still putting sauce and cheese on matzahs.
Oh,
Use
yeah.
Unleavened bread. That's good pizza there. I don't know what that is. It's some kind of frozen pizza that got released from
Yeah,
captivity.
They call it flatbread now.
Oh, my God.
Well, that's right,
that's
a
the,
flatbread
that's
pizza.
the nice one. But even
That's-
flatbread has a little bit of rise.
That's true, a
that
little
they put
bit.
in it. This was a matzah, man. And I was like, yeah, we don't let the dough rise. And I went, yeah.
So it's like a cracker.
Where am I? You know?
You got to get your kosher pizza, right?
Oh yeah, you got that.
Kosher
Trouble is they got the cheese on there. That blows the whole kosher thing
That's
again.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, meat and cheese, you can't combine those.
I grew up on the North Shore of Long Island originally, and I
Mhm.
still know, I'm proud. I pride myself on knowing more Yiddish words than a lot of Jewish people.
Oh, yeah.
You got that
Same
in
thing.
common with Tom.
North Minneapolis, man, was
Oh
Jewish, black, and Catholic.
yeah.
That's where I grew up.
Well, it's amazing how even though you cultivated yourself well beyond those years, you can still have that as part of you. You
I
know?
just love it. I
Yeah.
do. Looking back at my childhood, there's a lot of misery, but some wonderful things, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm trying to finish this book about that because that horrible thing that got written about Stan. What's that? I don't even want to give it an honor remembering the title. You never send a millennial to write a book about boomers, okay?
No.
And that's what
Really?
they did. It's
Slanted.
a millennial. The guy didn't even do. There's fact checking. And there's a thing called back checking. That's where
Yeah.
you go back to somebody and go, "Did you really say this?"
Yeah, yeah,
You
right,
know,
right.
In
right.
1979, blah blah blah, and he didn't do any of that. you know, and so,
So who
that
did-
book can come, but my books come hopefully come out early next year.
Well, you're gonna have to come back.
A
then.
comic in the Big Yellow House. Yeah, I'd love to come back and talk with you about it because it's about old age and just mostly more psychological about the emotional makeup it takes to me to be an old school real time comic.
Oh, there's no question about
It has
that.
to come from the dysfunction you're talking about. You had a
There's
dysfunctional
no
upbringing,
question about it.
but it made you who you are in a crazy
that's
way.
right.
I don't
That's
want to
absolutely
recommend it, you know.
No, we don't want to.
Because I was the only
recommend
white
No.
kid in an all black school.
Oh,
you know?
there you go. Yeah.
And it was like this crazy apartheid in the city of Glen Cove, which is on the North Shore of Long Island, but it's only two cities on Long Island, Glen Cove and on the South Shore of Long Beach.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And of course, immediately you have to have a certain type of housing there to qualify for
Mhm.
city status. So here we are. We're on our little place with a view of Long Island Sound. And my father, the
my
smartest thing he ever
God.
did, he took somebody's old summer bungalow and turned it into a house while we lived in it upstairs. And in comes the Sicilian grandmother because, you know,
Could you speak
you know the old
English?
joke, don't you, about an Irish kid can leave the house when he can beat his father in a fight? Right? Right? Jewish kid when he can
Right.
defeat his father in an argument.
All right.
Italians, they don't move out; they just build an extension.
Yeah, that's right. You're never moving out.
And that's what happened. My crazy Sicilian grandmother
Yeah.
moved in, you know, and I'm like, I want that room up there. My older brother went off in the Air Force. I'm like, no, grandma's moving in.
You know, by coincidence, this morning I posted on Facebook that, you know, what a joy it is because the weather here the next day. You came at a good time. The weather's phenomenal.
Yeah, I can see that.
The next 10 days is going to be gorgeous. So I was writing about the fact that how happy I am because we just got back from Florida about 10 days ago
Yep.
to be around the children, the grandchildren. I mean, it's
Yeah.
our even though we're not Italian, our family's kind of Italian. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't care if it goes to 8 generations, we're all hanging out.
Me familia Bernardo. I'm just kidding. I think it's add an O when you're there.
Just say, yeah, if I added an O, I'm good to go. So everybody thinks I'm Italian, though. Everybody goes, "Are you Italian?" No,
Well, we could get you to pass. You
no,
know?
I suppose that's probably true.
You got to, or you got to learn what I call the New Jersey Italian. Oh,
Oh, that's the whole thing.
New York side doesn't do that, but New Jersey Italians, when something shiny, they go, oh,
Nicky Scarfo. Remember Nicky Scarfo, the
Oh,
mafia guy?
yeah,
he used to do that all the time.
Oh my God, they had all those, and it was like, I remember my grandfather died. I had no. We'd always tell him, you're Gerbino, you're the Gambino family. No, actually, we're related to the Bonanno family. If you want to get it right.
Oh well,
And
which
these
is probably better.
I had no idea we had any connectivity until my late 60s when my grandfather died. And because big, long Italian Sicilian funeral was on for 3 days. You know, today everything one day, you know,
Sure.
to get it done. But back then it was a 3-day, and the cousins and had to come in and the weeping and the gnashing of teeth. And,
Don't forget the renting
Oh.
of garments.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, half of the women are already. That's when they wore black.
Yes.
When
Yeah.
widows would
Oh,
wear,
yeah.
they would wear black for the rest of their life. And a lot of those old school Italian, I had some like second aunts and third aunts. They were my father's
Right.
aunts, and but they would tell funny stories too. Oh, the good old days. Yeah, when we had to stand in line for a brick of charcoal. Yeah, the good old days. Because when you had to fight somebody for a pickle. You know, yeah, the good old. I'm like, oh, these stories are good.
Oh, they are.
You know,
They're
and they would
great
do that
stories.
kind of stuff. But I met some guys who had the suit, tie, and I said, "What is that?" And one day, the Daily News put the 5 heads of the families,
Uh-oh.
and one he goes, and my father goes, "Look, it's my father's cousin."
Whoops.
Oh yeah, Natale Avola was the name of the guy
Oh,
who took
yeah.
over. This is when Joe Bonanno conveniently had himself kidnapped, and
Yeah.
Arizona, you believe it? A state had a non-extradition agreement. So he goes to Arizona, where the state of New Jersey and New York can't get their hands on him, you know, leaving his son, Joe Bonanno Jr., you know, to run it. And then he got all tied up. And then this took over. And those were the guys who showed up. And the guy gave me a card. He goes, "You're a little too young now, kid, but you want to get a job." Come get it."
Oh.
And my father literally went, "You call that number and I will disown you." You know?
Oh, yeah.
But times were hard. It was early 70s. And I said, I need a job, man. And I call up this Coca. Well, I won't say what brand. Let's say it could have been Pepsi too.
Could have been.
A
Yeah,
bottling
absolutely.
plant in Corona, Queens at the time. And I go in the front door. They're like, "Yeah, oh, you want Anthony? You got to go around the back." And they give me that look like, "You're really stupid." You know that? You know,
You don't know
forget
nothing.
about it. You know?
That's
That's
nice.
nice.
And I go around back and it's like, "Oh, hey kid, how you doing?" Next thing you know, let's face it, the government stole a lot of stuff from the mafia. Credit card interest rates,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's what the loan sharks used to do.
Yeah.
Charge
Yep.
you 30% a month.
Yep.
And then boom, banks came in and took that. And then the lottery. that was the numbers game.
Numbers,
it
yeah,
was.
running
Yeah,
numbers.
That's right. That was my summer job. Was running around. I didn't have to pick up any money, but I ran around to laundromats and pizza places. I was making $500 a week.
Jeez, that's
1972.
good
Wow, yeah.
A
cash.
kid who's just finishing up high
72,
school.
you're making that much money?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And they tell me a place where you go to get a car. You know, make sure you mention. You know? It's that shoulder
They
thing
had-
I had to learn. You know?
Yeah.
Same thing as the when I went to get the job. Oh, you don't want to talk. Oh, that's Rizzy. Come, Rizzy, get up here. I'm like, yeah, I want that candy apple T-Bird over there, 62 convertible. Oh, what's
Ooh.
$3,500? Well, he gave me this. And the guy's, he grabs the envelope out of my hand. He goes,
Uh-oh.
why didn't you tell me you with him?
Yeah.
Jesus
wanna-
fucking Christ.
Well, he just wanted to stay alive is all
And
he
I was
wanted
like,
to do.
I'm sorry, did I screw up? You know, and all of a sudden I had to park. We had a long dirt driveway where we lived in Seacliff, Glencoe, right on the border of each other. And I had to park that thing down on the street and tell
Oh.
all my other neighbors, don't tell my dad. This is my
Oh, so you couldn't
Nobody
bring it-
narked on
Oh.
you?
yeah. Well, if my father would have seen that car, he would have known who I was working for.
He never found out. He had to find out.
No, I
You
told him
didn't
years
find
later,
out?
and he went, "You did that?" I swear, he was in his 80s, and he was like,
Oh, God. I wanted to get you.
Yeah, it was like I couldn't believe it. I thought it was safe at that point. You know, I did finally go, yeah, I did. He's, what? And my brother loved it because we were princes of the city, you know, driving around here, and it was great because you know you could stop at a pizza place, you know, your money's no good here,
Right.
you know,
right.
and you go into a pastry, your money's no good here, you know, and it was just like that, you know, and
It's
then
like being a politician.
yeah, it was, it was.
Yeah.
And then I remember they said, well, you might run into some guys, you know, you can tell they're brown shoes, lace up.
Oh,
They-
yeah.
Yeah, they're going to give you some crap probably when they find out who you are. One
But-
day I go into my favorite little bakery to get my bread and my pastry, you know, and all of a sudden I hear, just walking out, and I hear, Jeffrey Allen Gerbino.
Oh.
Oh, what's a suburban kid like you goes to Nassau Community College doing here in the middle of Brooklyn? Come over here, kid. I said, I got to go. I'm in a hurry.
Yes.
He goes, make time. Well, it's him and this other clown. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, this is the chit chat they told me about. They had my whole family there. They had everybody. It's long before the internet. Right?
Really?
They had him. You got Francesco Gerbino as your father. Marjorie. Oh, good Irish name there. Oh, Montgomery. Ah, yeah, that's good. And my brothers, my cousins,
Oh my
everybody.
God.
They got it. And when you pre-internet, that's like magic trick. Like,
Oh,
whoa,
God,
Right.
yes.
How,
Scary,
how do
yeah.
they know all this?
Right.
You know,
right.
oh my God. He goes, so, really? You want to keep doing this? And I was like, yeah, I do. It was my version of trying to be tough, and it wasn't very good.
No.
And I was like, yeah, you didn't scare me none. 2 weeks later, I was back in college.
So, did you ever lose a family member to like maybe disappearance, or all of a sudden they just passed away?
It was a cousin who,
yeah.
went to the dark side. And I remember a friend of mine who was really mobbed up. And that was my first joke I think I ever wrote. Dennis Ignaro, who was also Dennis James. And
depends on where he
Dennis
was.
Wakadetti. And he had like 4 licenses. New York didn't have pictures on their licenses back then.
Oh, yeah.
So it was
that's right.
easier to have these things and
Sure.
make them up. And we go in his house, and he's the guy who lived in Long Beach, the other city on Long Island, right? And I go down the hallway and I see a picture. It's Joey Gallo.
Oh, God.
And I think I wrote the first joke of my career. I looked around and I said, they don't sell 8x10s of mobsters, do they?
Did anybody
He
laugh?
goes, that's my cousin. And I went,
Uh-oh.
oh, really?
Well,
And we were on President Street, which is where the whole Gallo mob family was. And I remember he parks his little brand new Toyota Celica. That was the hottest new car out in
Oh.
the 70s. Sporty little thing. And somebody who was a college kid but worked in the rackets he worked in could pull it off. And he goes, we're gonna lock it. He goes, no. And he looks at some guy who looks out the window. Good. And he goes, no, you don't have to lock anything on this street. Nobody's gonna steal a car on this
No.
street.
no.
Not and live.
Not live to drive it. That's true.
Yeah. And and he was the one who told me, cousin, well, he's working for our family. And I remember thinking, wrong family. Because
Yeah.
he was not involved with the Bonanno family, you know.
Oh,
This was
God.
the Lucchese family,
Yeah.
the trickle down of the Lucchese family. And I remember thinking, they had never been simpatico, those two. And he got himself in a lot of trouble. And he did 12 years.
Jeez.
And,
God, it's so amazing because I just, I talked about this once in a while that Nobody ever explained this to me as a child, but once I grew older, I understood. But I had one great uncle who was taken out to Winoka, both arms, both legs broken, stuffed in a snowbank where he died.
Yeah.
And then another one, Ed, was beaten to death with a pipe.
Oh,
And the third one, my uncle, my mother's brother, was thrown off a building. So
Oh,
yeah.
3
Wow.
murders in the family.
well, did you know about this at the time?
Oh, I learned about, well, I knew about my direct uncle because
Uh-huh.
we had to tell my grandmother that he slipped in the shower.
Mm.
His entire
Oh.
body was crushed, but he slipped in
Oh,
the
my
shower.
God. That is, woo. That tops any of my stories. Oy, oy, oy.
No, honest to God, it was just, I
What
never,
kind of mob in Minnesota would be doing that kind of stuff?
the mob in Minnesota was Jewish.
I know. That's what
Yeah.
I mean.
There's
I didn't think
But
they
they-
were acting like that.
Well, there are other people. No, they didn't,
Yeah.
but they had other people working for them.
Ah.
That's just how it
I'm reading a good book now, my book about that. Anthony Fiato. It's called The Animal in Hollywood.
God.
And a friend of mine, Jeff Big Daddy Wayne, was sent it to me, and I said, it's about our time. It's about when I was out there the whole 80s.
No,
you know?
yeah.
And I'm looking at this thing going, man, when did we ever meet him? Because I was always telling him, we got to get together with Jimmy the Weasel Fradiano. We got to find him, man. 'Cause-
Jimmy the Weasel.
and where he was, I knew he was somewhere in California, LA mobster, hiding out under the
Right.
protection program after he wrote that book, The Last Mafiosi, which at the time was covering Newsweek.
Oh,
He was the highest ranking mobster
Yeah.
who had ever blinked out, you know. And I just were looking at, and as I'm reading the book, I'm getting chills going, oh, I did meet him. Oh my God. we worked some of his clubs.
Whoops.
And this guy has killed people. He is a Boston mobster who went out to LA and basically was in with that whole crowd. And he's mentioning place after place. And I'm going, oh, you sent me this book. It's a nightmare book. Oh my God. These are all clubs and stuff where we used to work.
Oh, sure.
The Capri and what is the other one is again? Cose Questo. It's the Italian word for shellfish. We worked in the valley, and he's telling stories about them whacking people at this place. And I'm going, ah! Oh
You
my
don't
God,
need to
I was
know
right
that.
in that thing. You know, I was like, oh.
Jeez, too
And then I
close.
realized, he goes, Jeff, don't you remember that was the guy who called himself the manager? He really owned the place, you know, because I knew everything was cash there, but back then a lot of things were cash, so that wasn't a dead
yeah.
giveaway. But he did the mobster role. He pulled it out, and I was like, well, we didn't charge you enough.
Well,
It's,
wouldn't pay a lot of taxes. I will tell you that part. Not a lot of tax paying.
that was the problem with the Jewish mob knew what they were doing. They paid their taxes.
They
The
did.
Italian mob was always like, we're not giving them nothing. And it's like, well, I always said that. I always thought that was so weak. It's a very off-color joke, but since it's a podcast, I can do it. I used to say, they got Al Capone. Do you think it's for murder? Do you think it was?
No.
Do you think it was any of the heinous crimes he
Yeah.
committed? No, they got him for tax evasion.
Tax evasion.
I said,
Yeah.
that's like getting Hitler for not paying his gas bill. It's
a good
dark,
joke.
but very funny.
That is a good. That
That's
is a good
true.
joke. There's no question about that. Is
That
it-
one you have to really pick your audience carefully. You're going to tell that one on stage.
You know what's great about this for young, maybe people thinking about getting into your business,
Mm.
to hear from you all that you went through to get to the point where you're funny, because you're not
Well,
automatically funny.
No.
You have to go through a lot of anguish. I think you have to be funny or you'd be miserable.
Yeah. Well,
So you agree with that?
when Louis came down, we were 9 months in, so we're getting real brash, you know. And I
Right.
got my 15, 20 now. And that was the big macho thing back then. Did you have 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
You know, and
yeah.
whoever had the newest material for the longest time, you were the champ that night.
Right.
That and we'd play poker in the back of the room with money we didn't have, you know. And that's what I learned in the game of poker. And I learned a lot of that was about bravado, because they were all better poker players than me, but it's all about mental attitude.
Yeah.
And I was the top dog back then, you know. So I would come
Oh,
away
yeah.
from that table $150, $200. Louis was a terrible gambler.
Oh God.
I hate to
yes.
say it, but he was. But he comes down first time he's coming in. Well, I wondered why he wanted 2 weeks' notice. And he hates this story, but I tell him, God bless you, Louis. We love you. But
Yeah.
I got to
Yep.
tell this one in front of Tommy. It's Tommy B. It's okay. He's in the family. All right. Trust me. I know you're listening. I know. But look, he comes down. He used to work at the St. Joseph's home in St. Paul, right? It's
Oh God.
basically
yes,
abandoned
that's right.
kids
Yeah.
who they're lost, you know,
Yep.
and they're trying to put them on the right track. He comes down to all his crew from that place,
Really?
and they're getting there at 7 o'clock. We usually start seating at 8. And I remember Bill Bauer being going, "We cannot let them come in.
Bill
We cannot."
Bauer,
And of course, that
God.
night, KTCA PBS is there to tape us, and we're thinking this is not going to go well. We already had plenty of our own coming, but no, he packs the place, and we're fighting. And my worst decision I ever made is let them in. They're paying, charge them more, charge them $1 more or something like that. And I never forget. He looks like king shit. Boom, he's killing with this horrible material. He's got a plunger for a penis enlargement joke.
Oh,
Make it grow.
God.
Ever since he's doing props. Louis never did props once he became a real comic.
No.
But he had props up the blowhole. He had a clown character he did that was
did?
just horrible.
Oh.
I'm Blinky the clown. I'm really sad, kids. Really, you're doing that? And they're laughing at. Come over here. I want to knock your fat ass out. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I looked at it and I said, I'll see you next week at 8:00. I says, you're going to fucking bomb. And I says, yeah, because your buddies ain't going to be here. And I tell you, he thought he was going to bring, none of them came. None of them came. There was a scene in that movie from the 80s too about the performing arts high school about a guy who did that. It is exactly like that. And the next week he came back, he didn't get laugh one.
Oh,
and he's
God.
got all them same props. And I was in that hallway looking at him going, hey, you like me now?
I'd like to see some. I'd like to see some old video of Louis doing that stuff.
Oh
That would
my
be
God. And then
hilarious.
eventually, as a result
Yeah.
of the bombing,
Yeah, hard
he
to believe.
developed the stage presence.
Yeah.
Which is one that night he just grabbed it and threw the stuff.
Oh,
down.
did he?
And all the comics were laughing our ass off in the back. I knew you dropped those props.
Why is it that legitimate comedians hate prop comics so much?
I mean, it's like the
like a
bad
crutch?
version of AI.
Okay.
It's like, here, look, my joke isn't funny, so here's a visual for you.
Yep,
Mhm.
that's
A net
true.
full of Jello. Look, it's a net with Jello in it. Bang, zoom. Get out of here. This is the greatest one about the great story. Gary Mule Deer, who was a great prop comic way out of Black Hill, South Dakota, and Spearfish, South Dakota.
Spearfish, yeah.
And
What
he
was his
come on.
partner's name again?
Was that?
Mule Deer. He had a partner for a while.
Yeah, Mule Deer, and actually, he's turned out to be pretty big. It was
Yeah, they were.
Jack Burns, wasn't it? It was Jack Burns.
Oh, was it?
Mule
It was
Deer
either
Burns?
Jack Burns or the other comic who just died. He used to be on Fernwood Tonight as the co-host.
Denny Flanagan.
Not Denny Flanagan.
He did a comedy act with him.
Oh, he was in
Mule
all
Deer and
the
Moondog.
that cabal of comedians who do those films, Spinal Tap and all that.
Oh
good.
yeah.
He was amongst them. Anyway, he did pretty well on his own there, but he's coming in with his plastic garbage tub full of props, and
Oh,
Leno
God.
famously turns around and goes, "Hey, Mule Deer, you and Gallagher, you just write that?" and Mule Deer ignores it completely, but Gallagher's like, "You think you're pretty funny, don't you? Yeah, Leno. Yeah, with your little cocky with your fucking ridiculous head." And they get into it, right? And I'm like, just a comic on the sideline going, "Oh, the big guys are fighting." And, but that was the day. And back then, Louis and I had the race. He beat me to it, but was get your name on the Comedy Store, and my name is still on there. And
Is it?
I'm proud of that because between the years
Absolutely.
1975 and 2000, if you didn't have your name in that Comedy Store, you weren't jack shit. Right? You had to have your name on that wall.
She had that thing just nailed, and then the house right next door to it, and she had that figured out beautifully.
Oh, there was that inner circle that I never got to penetrate.
Yeah.
Louis jumped in there, and got in, but he had been living with my wife and me. People don't realize that,
Right.
He moved out.
Yep.
We're gonna be bunkmates, right? Yeah, okay. I kind of established the beachhead, and he stayed out there, but his early days out there were terrible. He didn't get in. I was a regular, didn't have my name on the wall yet, but at least I was getting paid spots with $25 a spot from Mitzi. Yeah,
$25.
Yeah.
$25
And
in
there was-
LA.
Back then, let's see, Steve Landisberg, who you might have known
Sure.
from Barney Miller and other things. He
Absolutely.
was hot for a while. Yeah, he was one nailing Mitzi back then. And then later, that was when you were really in the inner circle.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. Those guys all lived behind a Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Sam Kinison, Andrew Dice
Yeah,
Clay. Louis was invited, but he smartly did not.
Well, that place was a drug haven, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, Yakov, Smirnoff, all those guys. And,
Yakov Smirnoff. I haven't heard that name in a while.
and I went back there one night because I heard all this yelling and stuff, and it was late. I didn't usually hang out that late at the store, but I did this night. and that's when they were coming up with the Sam Kinison screaming act.
Right.
Okay.
And, and there's Dice and somebody else going, no, man, you got to go right like this. And, he's like, and I remember first seeing Sam, and me and Louie were in the back of the room. And I go, let's just watch this guy. Because we had both gone on and done mediocre, but it was getting later, and we wanted to see if anybody was going to kill. You'd stick
Right.
around some nights to see, could anybody get this crowd? Because Comedy Store wasn't all ha-ha laughs.
Right.
So there were
Oh,
plenty
yeah.
of nights when it didn't happen for guys.
Sure.
Famous guys. Eddie Murphy bombed there one night and
Yeah,
told him
he
you can
did.
all suck my black dick. That was his last word as he threw the mic at the audience.
Wow.
God.
I know, because I was the MC
rough.
running up, grabbing the mics. Excuse me, and hi everybody.
Whoops.
I was a joke. He did, yeah.
Oh,
Because when you MC'd, you had to be real good, and otherwise Mitzi would get a bad report about you. So that was one of those nights, and Sam walks on, and he was so cocky. A guy with glasses and sunglasses in a nightclub, and a tam on his head, and a black
Yeah.
leather jacket. And he had knuckle gloves. He goes, "Hey, stick around, Gerbino. I'll show you what they need." And I was like, "Who the hell you think you are?"
Yeah.
Everybody's been bombing in this room. Arsenio Hall told him to kiss my black ass. And I'm having a worse night. I'm thinking Mitzi's never going to use me as an MC again. This night has been a disaster.
Yeah.
And then Louis goes, well, let's see. And so we sit and watch. And he walks up there and says nothing for 3 minutes. Walks back and forth,
Oh, God.
pacing the stage.
Oh dear.
Quieter. And he goes, yeah, you think you're pretty tough, huh? You guys all think you're tough. Laughing at all these guys at ties and burning them, ruin their sad ass little careers. Well, I'm not that guy. And he goes right up to one of the, it was two female hecklers who had really gotten drunk, and there's nothing worse than drunk female hecklers. I'm sorry, I'm going to nail your species on this.
I've been
Catherine?
one. So.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, you wouldn't have wanted to been on this night. Because
No.
Sam had this big axe to grind with women as it was.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then he goes, let me tell you something, you little girls up here. Spending daddy's money, huh? You got the Visa? You got the credit card? Huh? Should we just slide it up your goddamn vagina?
Oh.
And then he finishes looking, you're going to wish to God you never saw me. Ow, 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 ow. And the place lights up. The place just lights up. And
Oh, yeah.
of course, some women fleeing the room as they see what's happening. But every comic is in a room. Gary Shandling,
Oh,
other guys
God,
like that,
another guy.
stop, turn around. What's this guy doing? And he proceeds to look at another guy. Turns out, took the guy an hour and a half to get there. He was a boyfriend of one of those heckling girls. I guess he didn't want to go to the show.
Oh, my God.
And he was just coming to collector. He didn't
Oh.
care for stand-up. He picked the wrong night. He
Whoops.
comes in and Kenneth goes, sit the fuck down. And I remember thinking, and Louis just fell off his chair. And Louis had that big laugh that Louis had. Louis was
Oh, yeah.
wiping tears from his eyes, and we're high-fiving each other back there. It was like he was getting all the people who had ignored us so religiously that night. And I remember he goes, sit down. He goes, oh, you're with her? You're with her? He goes, yeah, I'm coming to collector. He goes, oh, collector, yeah, like an empty bottle that you're returning for a deposit. And he proceeds to go, let me guess, you understand her? And he goes back into that low voice again, and he goes, no, don't answer that question. I'll have to form an opinion about you. You know what happens when you understand her? She does like she does. She runs off for 2-3 days at a time. You don't even know where she is. She's with some guy in a pickup truck in a cornfield, humping him in the back of the car. And she comes back and tells you all about it. And you're okay with it. You know why? Because you understand her. And it's just psychology, you know what I mean? On stage in this
Yes.
vicious, raw gestalt form. And finally, I went up to him, and I'd seen him enough times. I went, you got a Pentecostal background?
Oh, good call.
Nobody,
Good call.
Jack Benny never took pauses like he took.
Yeah.
But I knew that Baptist and Pentecostal
Yeah.
ministers do.
Mm.
Jesus is talking to you tonight. Long pause. Because you could drive home tonight and go to fiery hell. You know?
Whoa.
And he goes, yeah, brother, you came from, oh, yeah. I said, I did. Everybody thinks it was Catholic. My parents converted when I was young from Catholicism to Pentecostalism.
Really?
Wow.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
Into the
Yeah.
fire.
I was so
No
jealous of you Catholics. I was like, what? Once a week? For 45 minutes? In some crystal cathedral somewhere? And then you do a little confession for the week and you're good? Oh, no. It's like 3 times a week with Pentecostals, and people get the Holy Spirit and start dancing around. And we were exactly what we should have been back then, a ridiculous minority. Now I find us in the mainstream.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
yeah.
we're anointing presidents. No, you don't want to go here. These people are crackers speaking in tongues and all that nonsense, But that's where Sam came out of. And
Different life.
a comedy audience had never seen that before.
No.
Someone who was willing to just
No,
stop
he-
for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, say nothing. And I thought, there it
Yeah.
was. He got it from the ministers, from doing it
Yeah.
himself.
His
you go.
energy was so over the top. I
Mm.
always thought he must have been coked up all the time to do that, to
Oh,
just
yeah.
keep
Well,
going like that.
He was partier for sure.
Yeah.
And I never forget the last time he came into town before he had that Easter weekend car accident, which was not his fault,
Yeah.
hit by a drunk 18-year-old, ironically. And he was clean and sober at that time.
Oh,
And his brother wrote a good book about it, and Brother Sam, it was called. And I remember he came here, and it was a few months earlier than that, at the Orpheum. So I went backstage to see him because I'd interviewed him on the radio and all that other stuff. And he, hey man, how you doing? And he's all, I said, what happened to the Outlaws? Because he used to have these comics. They were all party boys, and
sure.
if he didn't score, well, they scored, and they got it. And I said, no, who are these? I said, the in-laws? Because they're all clean, PG-13. And I said, this ain't like you, Sam. He goes, no, I want to be the only guy who says fuck.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And, he was still Sam, but he was this sort of sober Sam that I almost didn't recognize. Because he would get, my God, when he get going, he was a very powerful figure.
Yeah.
And he had disciples. He didn't have an entourage. They were more like disciples.
Yeah.
He didn't speak ill of Sam around those disciples.
Is that story true, you think? Because that car accident, apparently he actually at one point got out of the car and was walking around talking to himself.
Yeah.
And apparently once they broke it down, he was talking to God.
Well, yeah, the way his brother tells it in the book is that
Right.
he started to walk around and then he laid down.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
lay down in
right.
like a fountain or something, right?
Yeah, and his brother, they thought they could still get help for him. They
Right.
didn't know about all the internal damage
Right.
from the accident, and he starts to have that conversation you're talking about.
Yeah.
And he starts going, "Why?"
Right,
Why?
right.
And then the thing that really caught my ear was he goes, "Okay,"
He said, okay, you
I
can
get-
take me. Yeah.
and he gave it up.
Unbelievable.
And so and him and what's the other comic? I used to call him as John the Baptist. Was with him.
Yeah.
I
It's
can't
not a
remember
good
his
person
name.
to
He
be.
passed.
Yeah.
Well, everybody had him, and Louis had him too. He had his fans.
Yeah.
I used to tell these comics, Louis ain't gonna give you no break. Louis is just smart enough to keep you around
Yeah.
because these are the people who make sure nobody's talking trash about you. And they're like filters that walk around the club. Keeping their ears open
Yeah.
for that. It's a tough world. It was a heady world back then because you look at even today. A lot of the famous comics you see still had their birthplace somewhere in those 80s and early 90s.
No doubt.
In that cauldron of fire that was the Comedy Store, which was different than any other environment I'd ever been in, and
That makes sense.
and I just remember Louis being back there, and that's it. His whole lifestyle thing came, and we had a split there because he thought I was against him. But I said, Louis, I didn't know you were gay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, you kept that a secret. You wanted to keep that secret from his family. He
Right.
got a big family, and he always was good
Like
at keeping
11 kids, right?
Oh, yeah, 11. Yeah, he was
Jesus.
10. He was number 10.
Oh,
And his two sisters are still alive, Shauna, and I can't remember the other one. But they kind of reached out and contacted me lately.
oh, good.
But
Good.
yeah, they had that. And
Is that lawsuit settled? Aren't they suing?
yeah, they lost on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's some production company that's got it wrapped up, and apparently he signed off on it.
No, he did. Yeah.
That's too bad. He had taken care of them pretty well.
Yeah.
throughout
Oh,
the
yeah.
I'm
years,
sure
you
he
know.
did. Yeah.
He was always telling me that. We were, oh no, one of my brothers is coming around. All right, let's stop talking about industry stuff. He would do all that. So we had it. But I wanted to catch up with you. You came down to Mickey Finn's back then, and you weren't on the radio yet. And Mesa Kincaid,
Oh,
brought you down to
God,
Mickey Finn's.
Yes. Yep.
1979.
79. My
Uh-huh.
God.
I wanted to carbon date us here a little bit.
God, Mace's not around anymore. All these people.
Oh, I know.
I mean, honest God, Jeff, that nobody's around anymoo's Everybody's dead.
I know. So I don't want to go to reunions anymore.
Exactly.
It's like you look around and go, oh wow, because they had the 50th anniversary of the Comedy Store.
Oh.
And there was a mic, anybody could use it. I walked around and said, come on, folks, just admit it. We're all looking for those who are not here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you weren't there, it was more than a 50-50, you were gone. You
Oh,
know?
wow.
Anybody with their name still on the wall was there that night. There was a whole Steve Martin showed up.
Did he really?
Yeah. It was, let's see, Richard Lewis was still there and not looking good.
Not anymore.
But-
He ain't looking good at all now.
Yeah, not anymore now. But it was a long run thing with him. He was starting to.
He was a very nice guy. I got to spend some
I
time
don't
around
know. I could be Jewish. I've got some more stuff. Jeff, I'd like to help you, but I got to go to an analyst.
I got to go to an analyst.
And I hear he'd be in Tulsa. I went, did they actually get that New York Jewish stuff in Tulsa? I said, but he did. They did. He worked everywhere. He was an interesting guy. But Louis was going through a whole other phase back then, and people would tell me, they go, oh, he's gay. He's hitting on these young guys down here. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He's not gay. I was defending the other side. I said, what? He used to live with my wife and mine. They go, oh, did he now? Like that was even more reason to raise the eyebrow, And I just thought, oh man, that's when I learned what a rat's nest that little comedy store world was.
Oh yeah.
But there was a lot on the line there too. It was Tonight Show shots. Letterman's. They all
It was a
conducted
different
their
world.
auditions right there. I saw the night Gary Shandling got the Tonight Show. Like he went on at the prima donna spot of 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And just rocked him. And I thought he's got to have the show now. But from Louis, the horrible human being named Jim McCauley.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And Louis, he didn't like Louis. Louis didn't like him.
Oh.
And Louis made up a tape because they had a documentary on him, and it was all the things they said. And they ran clips of Louis going, and McCauley would go, I don't see him as ever being on the Tonight Show. So Louis puts all the Tonight Show clips of Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
And he only did it
yeah.
with Johnny. He wouldn't do it with a guest.
Right.
Smart. And he proceeds to send that clip to McCauley.
Oh, that's nice.
Because it's him in between every tonight, 14 Tonight Shows, and it's him each time in the buffer zone between going, he'll never do the Tonight Show.
Oh God.
Please welcome on his 12th appearance,
There you
Louis
go.
Anderson.
Jeff, you're gonna have to call in once in a while when you go back to Tampa.
Absolutely, I will. I would love to.
Okay, tell people where you're gonna be again.
We're going to be now tonight. We're doing the contest, so it's me in the front, 15 minutes, and then 10 talented comics came from all around the country. They're not just from the
nice.
Twin Cities. Some are, some aren't. And I'm going to be neutral introductions, not giving any credits.
Right, good.
Just to base it on that. Then Saturday night we'll have some fun. I'm the featured performer along with another comic whose name eludes me, but he's there. It's the two of us.
You have any
working
idea,
again.
Andy? Crooners
On Saturday night, the two. I'm one and he's the other. But that'll be 8 o'clock at Crooners Saturday night, and that's the big show we're looking forward to.
That's
A
wonderful.
lot of folks coming out I haven't seen in a long time,
Oh
so
yeah.
it'll be fun to do. And I just want to apologize for that night in 1979, though, because I said everybody's working. I said something about that, except you.
Except you.
And Mesa, of course, fell all over the place. Lazy goes, oh, he wanted to kill you after that.
Yeah, it all worked out in the end.
Oh
though.
my God! I was going to say, I hope I motivated you some to
You did.
to,
There's no
to
question
succeed.
about it. No question about it. What you got, Andy? Did you figure it out?
What am I trying to figure out?
There's another act with me Saturday night at Crooners.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Uh,
Let's see.
give him fair credit here.
Yep. Got to give him credit.
Let's see. What do we got here?
It's Tim something.
So-
I want
a lot of places don't credit non-headliners, unfortunately. I'm hoping Crooners does.
well, no, he's it's a split bill, really, is what it is. So it's
All right. So that would be, let's see, on Saturday. We got a bunch. Don McMillan.
Don McMillan.
Yeah, Saturday.
Probably
June
Don
8th.
then. Don then. Okay.
There you
Yeah.
go.
All right. He's a little bit older school. High tech comic. I love these guys with engineering degrees. Well, why didn't you just be an engineer?
Yeah.
Anybody's
life
a
is
doctor.
easier.
Become an
That's I'm
engineer.
covering that in my book, Comic in the Big Yellow House, about what you got to be. And I always say I met too many guys who had literally had medical doctor degrees, and they're up there opening for me
Yeah.
in San Diego, and I'm going. Your parents must be so happy.
Yeah.
Dropped $250,000 on you getting a medical degree, and here you are opening for me
Yeah.
in San Diego for $250.
There it is.
Oh,
Jeff,
they
thank
must
you
have
so
something
much.
to
Thank
say.
you. I appreciate this a lot. I got a golf date I got to get to.
Yeah, you got to go play golf.
We
No
got a little
question
golf
about it.
thing going on.
All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow, ladies. and
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
vibration in my noggin reminds me of this was before. Every time I hear the same reminds me how you talking